Is it profitable? Well, the answer is absolutely yes. That same scale that I talked about before, where 0 is that guy building that house out in the farmland and 10 being a real village, is the same scale of risk factors from the financial market that there is. So the closer you get to a village, the less risk there is, because a real village virtually has 0 risk. New urbanism is a 3, or 3.25, or 3.5, and NeoRetroism is a 5, 6, 7. Obviously, there's less risk. You say, well, why is that? It's real simple. A real village is nothing more than a bunch of ownership of different people. The baker owns his own building, his own little shop. The flats, but we call them apartments, are owned by individual people. The chapel is owned by the church group or by the people of the village. So you go through it all the thing. So everything has to fail in a village for the village to fail. So you say, well, where is there profitability for an investor to invest? Well, you build a house and you can sell houses, just like you would anywhere else. You can build flats and you can sell them. You can sell your retail, you can sell them. And in some cases, I can see, like what we're doing at Adriatica here, but we're going to build some apartments inside the village, and we're going to build some independent living. And those may be owned by outside investors. But wouldn't you love to own a couple hundred rental units inside a village that's owned by the people of the village? Absolutely.
Wall Street hasn't figured out how to fund them properly because Wall Street is still stuck on this model, which is we sell the cash flows, we underwrite the cash flows of a particular use. And if we're not cash flowing by the second or third year, we're in trouble. We hope to peak out on our cash flows in year 5 or 6, and then everybody sells it off. We sell off the debt instruments, we sell off the properties, and we don't care what happens to the cash flow after that. So we design and entitle a conventional subdivision to not last longer than half a generation. And so that is actually very risky, because if these cash flows don't peak in the right time, our underwriting is off and we end up with the real estate-based recession we're in today. This graph is the reason we're in the recession. However, Adriatica is on a different curve, which is more like a downtown. And that is that this curve, the second curve, is based on the concept of adjacency predictability. What you've done is set up a model where you have the original owner, you, Blackard Global, is setting up the ability to atomize the ownership within the design context, the design, the form of the neighborhood, like a downtown. We're not creating buildings to be particular uses. We're not doing a building to be a 7-Eleven, which can only be a 7-Eleven, or a building to only be a Walmart, which can't be reinvented. You're creating an environment where buildings will reinvent themselves as the market evolves and as different community market segments come and go. Young people, older people, retirees. So your market segment is something that is evolving, whereas the market segment over here, if you get it wrong, you're dead in the water.
If you had a choice from across the street in another apartment complex or live in the village in an apartment that every building's different, where are you going to live? We had this mentality, okay, go to college, move into an apartment, save a few dollars, buy a car, then we move into a $100,000 house or $125,000 house, and just a momentum. We think in America that you just keep on moving all the way up. You move from one neighborhood to the next neighborhood, to the next segregated neighborhood, to the next segregated neighborhood, okay? And then when you get all the way to the top, then you start moving back down because you don't want the yard. Okay, it's just kind of funny how we do the cycle. We're one of the few groups in the world that does that. Okay, you graduate from college, go live with your parents till you get married. Well, that's ingenious. Save some money so you can buy the first and last house the first time.
One of the things I realized and I learned as I was wandering through the streets of Rome is that this is a city that has been here for so many, many years, so many, many generations of people, so much history that has enriched that city. And it made me wonder what was that ingredient that allowed it to be sustained all these years. And it was precisely the fact that the growth was organic, that these generations, that there's a reason why things are where they are, because they met the needs of the city. And everything is positioned to meet the needs of the village. Everything is positioned and designed so that someone could be born here, could grow up here, could grow old here, could even die here. And the whole spectrum of a person's life can be encompassed in this village.
And Adriatica represents the past, not necessarily the American past, but more of the European overseas past, because we see the model of those villages there where people grew up in the villages. They stayed there. They were dependent upon one another. They were self-sufficient within a village. So everyone had their place. You know, families would grow up and they'd build a house attached to their parents' house, and so on and so forth. So Adriatica represents the past, but it is, I believe, more something that resonates within the soul to say this feels right. It feels right to not have such a large place to take care of if I don't need it, and to actually be able to walk around and enjoy the vineyard, enjoy the shopping, enjoy the people out playing with their children, or walking their dogs, or riding their bicycles, or fishing in the lake. It's a place that people can live and raise their families and retire here, and it's low maintenance, so people can actually live here but travel without having to worry about what's going on back home. Come back and someone's already mowed your lawn and taken care of everything. So I believe it's an absolute model for the future, where people can enjoy their lives more and not be burdened down by the acquisitions of life as much.
I tell a lot of people this. Here's what's going on. If I had 100 acres of property, I'm going to go give it to my architect or my engineer, and they're going to see what they can do with the property. They're going to say, well, you can get 182 lots, or you can get 400 multifamily units, or you can do this. Let me tell you, that's not the way it's supposed to be. I know you're going to say, surprise, but the developer is the one that should know where he's going. The architect is the pencil to draw what he has up here on a piece of paper. The engineer is supposed to do the same. The lawyer is supposed to put his ideas in writing. He's supposed to interpret the law. We don't do that anymore. We think the architect is the lead. We think the engineer is the lead. Lead where you want to go. You have to have the direction, or don't do it.